Hello guys, welcome back to my MMA channel. Thank you so much for being here. Today I'm going to be listing my top 5 UFC Heavyweight Champions. Of course, UFC 270 gets us on the way with the first pay-per-view of the year. That'll be this weekend. And of course you've got two heavyweight champions unifying the division. Obviously Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane, the interim champion. And that fight has everything you could ask for. Maybe the best heavyweight title fight of all time. It's that good. So I thought I'd put together this list. The big thing with this list is when looking at the criteria of where I was going to rank people is it's UFC Heavyweight Champions. It's not based on their resume as a heavyweight, like through the whole thing. It's about the title reign. It's about how they won the belt, defenses, all that good stuff. So that's what I'm keeping in mind when I'm picking where people rank. So without further ado, let's get straight into it with the first pick. Now this might be a controversial one. I mean, for a start, there are people out there who have defended the heavyweight title more times than Daniel Cormier who haven't made this list. But for me, it's all about the manner of the title reign that DC had up at heavyweight. For a start, he was the light heavyweight champion and he moved up. That's a big deal. To go in there and fight Stipe Miocic, who we'll be talking about later, as you would have guessed. But to go out there and stop Miocic in the first round to become a two-weight champion simultaneously, incredible. Obviously, he did get a title defense in against Derek Lewis. Everyone knows how dangerous Derek Lewis is. That's no easy manner to go out there and beat him. And the two fights with Miocic, I know the two fights that followed, obviously, I know that he lost them both, but they were both incredible heavyweight fights. One of the best trilogies in UFC history. I think that's pretty fair to say. So I get it. But for me, the performances themselves that DC had as heavyweight champion or in heavyweight title fights means that he deserves a spot on this list over some guys who, like I said, maybe defended the belt more, but not against as good opponents and not in such great fights. Obviously, that fight with Brock Lesnar evaded him. That would have been a huge point. And maybe could have knocked him up a couple rankings as well in this list if he had gone in there and managed to pick up a title defense against Brock Lesnar. Just such a high-profile fight. But that being said, DC gets in there based off of the caliber of opponents. So with this list, I think the top two speak for themselves, and the other three I'm having to explain a little bit because I think maybe people wouldn't immediately think of them as incredible heavyweight champions, but that belt has been so hard to keep hold of that it's really there's a lot of people who've defended it once and not many people who've done it more than that. So with that being said, I've got Brock Lesnar as my number 4 greatest UFC heavyweight champion. It's easy to overlook Brock Lesnar, I think, because people always remember the loss to Cain Velasquez, the loss to Alistair Overeem, that fight with Mark Hunt, which obviously so controversial. But you've got to remember about where Brock Lesnar was at when he became heavyweight champion. For a start, the man beat Randy Couture in his 4th pro fight to win the belt. I mean, that on its own is such an achievement. Obviously, he got 2 title defences, the rematch with Frank Mir, which is iconic for so many reasons, not just Lesnar's performance, but obviously his performance on the mic that night afterwards. Probably the best post-fight interview I've ever seen. And then that fight with Shane Carwin, which if you haven't seen it, go and watch Brock Lesnar versus Shane Carwin, because Brock Lesnar survives a hell of a storm in that first round, comes back in the second round and submits Carwin. Unbelievable stuff. Injuries played a huge part of his career, and obviously he had so much success in the WWE that I don't know really where his title reign would have gone, but when he was there as heavyweight champion, when he was beating the likes of Frank Mir in their rematch and then Shane Carwin, Brock Lesnar looked like a machine, man. He was the baddest man on the planet right then, and injury slowed him down. But I still think he showed enough in that small title reign to show that he was one of the best heavyweight champions the UFC has ever had. From talking about Brock Lesnar and the career that he could have had, we've now got to talk about probably, in my opinion, the biggest what-if in MMA's history. How good Cain Velasquez could have been if it wasn't for injuries. Of course, a 2-time heavyweight champion because he lost the belt to Junior Dos Santos and then got it back off of him. Defended the belt twice, the trilogy fight with JDS, of course, which was incredible. And he beat Bigfoot Silva as well with a first-round stoppage as his first title defense. But Cain Velasquez is a difficult one, right? For me, I look at the performances. Obviously, caliber of the opponent is important, but for me, the performances that he put on in title fights, obviously he lost to Fabricio Verdum, so that takes it down a little bit. But the ones where he won, were absolutely incredible. Obviously, he got knocked out by JDS, but then the 2 fights after that completely did away with that first fight. I mean, I think Cain Velasquez, I'm a huge Cain Velasquez fan, and I think that when he was in his prime, he was one of the best fighters we've ever seen in that octagon. Simply put. So I know that there was injuries, I know that he lost to Fabricio Verdum, I know that his career kind of trickled out at the end, but Cain Velasquez, when he was heavyweight champion, looked like that belt wasn't going anywhere for a long time, especially when he dismantled Brock Lesnar to get the belt in the first place. Cain Velasquez, the biggest what if in MMA history. Coming in at number 2, an absolute legend of the sport, one of the OGs in Randy Couture. I mean, of course, he had a great career at light heavyweight as well, but he won the heavyweight title 3 times. Like that, I mean, what a statement that is. You have to remember that he won the belt in his 4th pro fight. He broke the UFC record by defending it more than once, which at the time had never been done. And of course, that legendary last title reign is really where he seals the deal in getting this 2nd place spot. Moving back up to heavyweight after taking a year off from the sport, beating Tim Sylvia, who at the time looked like he was going to reign that division for a long time, and then going in there and beating Gabriel Gonzaga as well. Just a pair of heavyweight classics in his 3rd title reign at whatever age he was at that time. Randy Couture, the natural, just incredible. Like, what a career. But in particular for me, the thing that sticks out when I think of Randy Couture is that 3rd heavyweight title reign, beating Tim Sylvia and Gabriel Gonzaga. And you've got to put him in there for the fact he's won the belt 3 times, and he broke the initial record. Randy Couture, one of the greatest to ever do it. Of course, you probably all saw this one come in. There is no debate, in my opinion, that Stipe Miocic is the greatest UFC heavyweight champion that the sport has ever seen. Of course, he holds the record for consecutive title defences, and that alone kind of puts him above everyone else, in my opinion, just off of that. Obviously, those title defences against Alistair Overeem, Judah Santos, and Francis Ngannou were all absolutely amazing. But what, for me, puts him in a whole category of his own when we're talking about maybe greatest UFC champions, like full stop, losing the belt to Daniel Cormier in the manner that he did, going away, and then those last 2 fights with Cormier, winning the trilogy, that incredible comeback in the 2nd one with the body shots when he was losing the fight, and then just a great performance in that 3rd fight to outpoint DC, which is no easy task. Stipe just proved it time and time again. Like I said, the 3 consecutive title defences mean that he's number 1 by default, I feel like. Also, the caliber of opponents, that Francis Ngannou fight in particular, was insane. But then to come back, to get the belt back off of Daniel Cormier, and then to win their trilogy. I know that he got knocked out by Francis Ngannou, and there's still chapters left, I think, in Stipe Miocic as a heavyweight, especially at the top level. So who knows where this is going to go. I can't really see him winning the belt back. So I think in terms of his place in this list, it's not going to, I don't think it's going to progress further than it already is. But there's no debate, really. Like I said, you all saw this one come in. Stipe Miocic is the greatest UFC heavyweight champion of all time. Resume, performances, all incredible. Thank you for checking out this video, guys. Let me know who you think is going to win out of Cyril Gane and Francis Ngannou before that goes ahead Saturday night. I cannot wait for that fight. Hit subscribe because I'm going to be putting content up on this channel all the time, including after UFC 270. I'm going to be taking a look back at some videos I made of predicting the title fights and sort of reacting to my initial predictions and what I got wrong, what I got right, and basically making myself look like a bit of an idiot on YouTube. So be sure to check in for that one. I'll catch you on the next video, guys. Cheers. See you later.